Far from the world's great cities lies a land larger than empires. A land of unbroken winter, where the wilderness seems eternal, and where human presence flickers only in isolated sparks of light. This is Siberia. The very word conjures images of exile, wilderness, and unimaginable cold. Yet beneath its barren facade lies a paradox. Siberia is a land both desolate and rich beyond measure. Rich with minerals, with forests, with waters older than memory, and above all, with mysteries that the world has barely begun to unravel. Here, under frozen ground, mammoths remain preserved as if they only just fell. Here, ancient peoples carved their lives into caves, leaving traces that rewrite our story of human origins. Here, lights dance in the night sky, and legends speak of lost kingdoms, vanished travelers, and cataclysmic fire from above. What lies hidden in the silence of this land? What truths does Siberia keep locked in its permafrost, in its mountains, in its endless wilderness? Today, we will venture deep into this enigmatic frontier, uncovering frozen graveyards of Ice Age beasts, listening to the whispers of vanished civilizations, and exploring mysteries that science has yet to explain. This is Robert Beckham, and you are watching Earth Wonders. Covering nearly 13 million square kilometers, Siberia makes up 77% of Russia's territory. By comparison, it is larger than all of Europe and the United States combined. Yet in this colossal domain, fewer than 40 million people live, meaning vast regions remain uninhabited, forests grow undisturbed, rivers flow unchallenged, and tundra lies untouched for thousands of miles. In Siberia, wilderness is not an escape, it is the rule. Siberia stretches from the Ural Mountains in the west to the Pacific Ocean in the east, and from the Arctic Ocean in the north down to the borders of Mongolia, Kazakhstan, and China in the south. To cross it by train aboard the Trans-Siberian Railway takes more than a week of continuous travel, from the rolling hills of the west to the jagged mountains of the east, from the icy seas to the scorching steppe. Siberia is not one landscape, but many. The north is locked in tundra, a treeless wilderness bound in permafrost. Here, temperatures plummet so low that even in summer, only a thin skin of ground thaws. Beneath lies frozen soil, sometimes stretching hundreds of meters deep, some of it unchanged since the last ice age. Further south lies the Taiga, the largest forest on Earth. Stretching like a green ocean, the taiga covers nearly half of Siberia. Dominated by larch, birch, pine, and spruce, it is home to reindeer and elk, to bears and wolves, and to rivers that serve as the lifelines of the region. The Yenisei, the Lena, the Ob, 3 of the 10 longest rivers in the world, all flow across Siberia, carving paths that stretch thousands of kilometers to the Arctic Ocean. To the east rise mountain ranges, such as the Altai, the Sayan, and the Verkhoyansk, whose jagged peaks mark some of the coldest inhabited places on Earth. The south holds rolling steppe, where grasses sway in the wind, and nomadic traditions have endured for millennia. Each of these zones presents its own extremes, and together they form a land of paradox, harsh yet beautiful, barren yet overflowing with hidden wealth. Siberia is a kingdom of cold. Winter dominates much of the year, and in some places, cold itself seems eternal. The settlement of Oymyakon in Yakutia has become infamous as the coldest permanently inhabited place on Earth. This remote village, about a 21-hour-long drive from Yakutsk, of around 500 people, holds the record lowest temperature, minus 71.2 degrees Celsius. Vehicles must be left running, for if the engine is switched off, the fuel freezes solid. Pipes burst, metal shatters, and the very air turns brittle. Locals speak of birds freezing in flight, and of eyelashes crusting with frost within moments of stepping outside. Yet this same land knows sudden heat. In summer, Yakutia has recorded temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius. The land of frost becomes a place of blooming meadows and raging floods as the icebound rivers release their winter burden. This dramatic shift, sometimes a difference of more than 100 degrees between seasons, defines life in Siberia. Few places on Earth test human endurance so fully. The sheer unpredictability of Siberian weather has bred both caution and legend. Travelers of centuries past wrote of sudden snowstorms that buried entire caravans, of fog so dense that men lost their way within a few steps, of thunder rolling across skies that moments before had been silent. For explorers, survival often came down to intuition, knowing when to trust a patch of ice, when to shelter from a storm, and when to wait for the land itself to relent. Beneath this land lies one of Siberia's most defining features: permafrost. This frozen ground, some of it dating back more than 2 million years, preserves a memory of the Earth unlike any other. Locked within it are layers of ancient plants, animals, and even bacteria. When the permafrost softens, it reveals pieces of the past that elsewhere would have long decayed. It is this permafrost that has given us frozen mammoths so intact that even their skin and fur remain. Some still bear the weight of grass in their stomachs, their final meals preserved in ice. Woolly rhinoceroses, cave lions, and even human remains have surfaced, astonishingly well preserved. Siberia's scale and climate also give rise to phenomena both natural and unexplained. Sudden weather changes are common. A clear sky can vanish beneath snow within minutes. Rivers that flow quietly can burst into violent torrents as ice breaks apart. Some of these events have inspired legends. The Evenki people of central Siberia tell stories of spirits that dwell in rivers and forests, capable of striking travelers who disrespect the land. To them, the sudden shifts of weather are not merely accidents of climate, but the actions of a living landscape. Science may explain them as atmospheric pressure changes or microclimates, but for centuries, they have carried a more mysterious weight. For all its wilderness, Siberia is far from empty. Beneath its soil lie reserves of oil, gas, coal, gold, diamonds, and countless other minerals. In fact, Siberia holds some of the richest natural resources on the planet. Cities such as Norilsk and Yakutsk exist because of this wealth, carved into the land by mining, drilling, and industry. Yet human presence remains sparse. Siberia has a population density of just 3 people per square kilometer. To travel between towns often means hundreds of kilometers of unbroken wilderness. Many communities are reachable only by plane, by frozen winter roads, or by rivers in the short summer months. Isolation is as much a part of Siberian life as the cold itself. This isolation has also preserved mysteries. Whole valleys remain barely studied. Lakes, forests, and mountains lie beyond the reach of scientists. Even today, satellite images sometimes reveal features on the map that explorers had never documented on the ground. Siberia remains a frontier, a place where knowledge lags behind the vastness of the land. For centuries, Siberia has been both feared and revered by Russians. To the Tsars and later the Soviet government, it was a place of exile. Dissidents, criminals, and enemies of the state were sent eastward into labor camps hidden in the wilderness. For them, the greatest punishment was not imprisonment itself, but banishment into a land where winter was the true jailer. The word Siberia became synonymous with remoteness, with silence, with endurance. And yet for indigenous peoples, the Yakuts, the Evenks, the Chukchi, the Nenets, Siberia was never exile. It was home. They learned to adapt to its extremes, herding reindeer, fishing its rivers, and navigating its endless forests with ease. Where outsiders saw only hardship, they found a living world filled with spirits, with lessons, and with survival. Their relationship with the land is one of balance, forged through centuries of adaptation. In the Verkhoyansk range of northeastern Siberia lies one of Earth's most extreme climate records. Known as the Cold Pole, this region regularly records temperatures below -50 degrees Celsius. Yet in July, the same valleys can blaze with heat above 30 degrees. Within the span of a year, the land swings between the extremes of a desert and the Arctic. Scientists study the cold pole not just for meteorology, but for understanding resilience. How do ecosystems survive such shifts? How do humans endure? The answer lies partly in adaptation. Houses built on stilts to withstand permafrost shifts, diets rich in animal fat for energy, and traditions that tie survival to the rhythms of the land. In many ways, Siberia is a mirror of human history. Its harshness explains why so much of it remains unexplored. Siberia does not reveal its secrets easily, but when it does, they change what we know of the world. And so, before we search for the stories of ancient humans, before we look into caves and kurgans and legends, we must remember this: the land itself is the first mystery of Siberia. A land that freezes and thaws, that isolates and reveals, that holds the power both to preserve and to destroy. It is within this land of extremes that the first humans left their mark. Long before Russia, long before modern science, they walked its forests, painted its caves, and carved their survival into its story. To uncover them, we must now journey deep into prehistory to find the ancient footprints still imprinted in Siberia's frozen earth. When we look at Siberia today, it seems like a wilderness almost untouched by human hands. Endless forests, frozen rivers, and tundra stretching beyond the horizon give the impression that this land has always been too harsh, too remote for life to truly flourish. But beneath that stillness lies another story, one written not in books, but in bones, stone tools, and fragments of DNA. For Siberia is not a forgotten land. It is one of the earliest frontiers of human history, and the footprints left here by species we once thought lost, by cultures we scarcely imagined, continue to rewrite the very story of who we are. Tens of thousands of years ago, when glaciers covered much of the northern hemisphere, Siberia was not an empty wasteland. It was a thriving steppe, home to vast herds of mammoths, woolly rhinoceroses, musk oxen, and reindeer. This ecosystem, sometimes called the Mammoth Steppe, stretched across Eurasia and into North America. For early humans, Siberia was not a frozen prison. It was a land of opportunity. The animals that roamed here provided food, clothing, and tools. Mammoth bones were carved into shelters, tusks became weapons, hides offered warmth. Archaeological sites scattered across Siberia reveal that humans have lived here for at least 40,000 years, perhaps even longer. The sheer abundance of preserved remains has made Siberia a treasure trove for paleontologists and archaeologists. In the permafrost, hunters and herders have stumbled upon frozen mammoths with flesh and hair intact, as if they had only just fallen. These discoveries tell us not only about the animals themselves, but about the people who hunted them, skilled, resourceful, and adapted to the harshest of environments. But the deeper story of Siberia's ancient inhabitants lies not in the bones of animals, but in the caves of its mountains. In the Altai Mountains of southern Siberia, hidden among cliffs and forests, lies a modest limestone chamber known as Denisova Cave. At first glance, it is unremarkable, a dark hollow with a wide mouth opening to the forest. But inside, archaeologists uncovered something extraordinary. The traces of a previously unknown kind of human. In 2008, a tiny bone fragment, the tip of a pinky finger, was discovered in the cave. It seemed insignificant, just a sliver of ancient bone, but DNA analysis revealed something shocking. It did not belong to modern humans, nor did it match Neanderthals, our closest extinct relatives. Instead, it came from a separate lineage entirely. Scientists had uncovered a new branch of the human family tree, the Denisovans. Until this discovery, Denisovans were unknown to science. They had left no skeletons, no obvious fossils. But here, in a single cave in Siberia, their presence was written in genetic code. Further discoveries in Denisova Cave added to the picture: a few teeth, fragments of bone, and tools scattered across the soil. From this, a portrait began to emerge of a people who lived alongside both Neanderthals and modern humans. The implications were profound. Denisovans interbred with both groups, leaving traces of their DNA in modern populations, especially among people in parts of Asia and Oceania. Some of the genetic adaptations they passed down, such as resistance to high-altitude environments, still shape human survival today. That a single cave in Siberia could reveal such a hidden chapter of human evolution underscores the land's importance. Without Denisova Cave, we might never have known that these mysterious cousins of ours existed at all. Denisova Cave is not the only site where Siberia has rewritten our understanding of prehistory. Across the region, archaeologists have uncovered cave paintings, stone tools, and burial sites that suggest a rich and varied human presence stretching back tens of thousands of years. These works are not merely decoration. They are evidence of imagination, of culture, of humans reaching beyond survival to express their place in the world. Further north, burial mounds from later periods tell of complex societies that flourished in Siberia's harsh environment. Elaborate graves filled with ornaments, weapons, and carved objects suggest a people with strong beliefs about life, death, and the world beyond. And then there are the whispers of legends. Indigenous groups across Siberia tell stories of giants who once roamed the land, of ancient peoples swallowed by the forest, of tribes who disappeared without a trace. Archaeology cannot always confirm such stories, but together they weave a narrative of a land where memory stretches beyond the reach of written history. The Evenki, Yakut, and other Siberian peoples preserve oral traditions that speak of beings larger than life. Some tell of giant hunters who built the first shelters, others of strange tribes that vanished into the mountains. When explorers in the 19th century unearthed enormous bones from the permafrost, many locals believed they were the remains of these legendary beings. In time, science identified them as mammoth skeletons, but the myths remained. These legends serve as reminders of how intertwined Siberia's human story is with its environment. The bones of mammoths gave rise to tales of giants. Sudden disappearances in the wilderness became proof of spirits or forgotten peoples. In a land where the natural and the supernatural often blur, myth became another form of history, one not carved in stone, but carried in memory. For early humans, survival in Siberia was no easy feat. Winters were brutal, resources scarce, and predators numerous. Yet archaeological evidence shows that humans not only endured, but thrived. They crafted sophisticated tools from stone, bone, and ivory. They hunted mammoths with coordinated skill. They lit fires that kept caves warm through bitter nights. What is most remarkable is not just that humans survived here, but that they chose to return. Generation after generation, they adapted to the land's extremes, forging ways of life that would eventually spread across northern Asia and into the Americas. Indeed, many scientists believe that Siberia was the crucial gateway through which humans first entered North America. As ice sheets locked much of the northern world, a land bridge, Beringia, connected Siberia to Alaska. Through this corridor, thousands of years ago, humans migrated into the Americas, carrying with them skills honed in the Siberian wilderness. When we think of the cradles of human history, we often picture the warmth of Africa or the fertile valleys of the Middle East. But Siberia tells a different story. That even in the coldest, harshest environments, humans found a way not just to live, but to shape their destiny. From Denisova Cave to the Mammoth Steppe, from cave paintings to ancient legends, Siberia preserves a chapter of human history that is as essential as it is overlooked. It is a reminder that our species is not only a child of warmth and sunlight, but also of ice, snow, and silence. And the story does not end here. For if Siberia has given us frozen bones of mammoths and fragments of forgotten humans, it has also preserved entire bodies, creatures entombed in ice, waiting to emerge centuries, even millennia after their death. To see them, we must journey into Siberia's frozen graveyards, where time itself has been sealed beneath the ground. If Siberia is a land of extremes, it is also a land of memory. Beneath its frozen ground lies a vault that nature itself has built, a time capsule spanning tens of thousands of years. This is the permafrost, soil and ice locked in silence since the last ice age, preserving the bodies of creatures and people as though they had only just fallen. In no other place on Earth have so many ancient beings been discovered in such extraordinary condition. Mammoths with their tusks gleaming white, woolly rhinoceroses with skin still intact, cave lions whose golden fur remains untouched by time. These are not fossils turned to stone, but bodies, flesh, hair, even blood, carried forward across millennia by ice. They are reminders of an ancient world, but also questions about our own. Why did they vanish? What can they teach us about survival in a changing climate? And should these frozen graveyards remain tombs or become laboratories for resurrection? The first frozen mammoth carcasses began to emerge from Siberia's permafrost centuries ago. Indigenous peoples knew of them long before Western science took notice. For the Yakuts, who encountered tusks protruding from riverbanks and strange bones unearthed by floods, these remains were not merely curiosities. They were fragments of legend. Some believed mammoths were underground creatures, living beneath the frozen soil until exposed by storms. Others saw them as ancient spirits of the land. When we think of Siberia, we often imagine endless wilderness, vast forests where only wolves and reindeer roam, tundra where no city could stand, mountains untouched by time. Yet, this perception is only half true. Long before modern borders, long before Russia claimed this expanse, Siberia was home to cultures both complex and powerful. Their traces remain in burial mounds, in scattered artifacts, in whispers of forgotten roots and kingdoms. But unlike the ruins of Greece or Egypt, Siberia's past civilizations are elusive. Their monuments lie hidden beneath earth and ice, their settlements reclaimed by forest, their names often erased by time. Still, the fragments we uncover tell a striking story: that Siberia was not an empty land, but a crossroads of peoples and empires. Among the most mysterious of these vanished peoples were the Scythians. Nomadic horsemen of the Eurasian steppe, they roamed a vast domain stretching from the Black Sea to the Altai Mountains of southern Siberia. Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, described them in the 5th century BCE as fierce warriors and skilled archers, living in felt tents, drinking fermented mare's milk, and mastering the art of mounted combat. For centuries, the Scythians were feared as raiders and admired as traders. Their mobility made them elusive enemies, yet their culture was far from primitive. Archaeological discoveries in Siberia have revealed the sophistication of Scythian life, particularly through their burial mounds, known as kurgans. The Scythians vanished as a distinct people centuries ago, absorbed into other cultures and tribes, yet their legacy survives in Siberia's soil. We often picture Siberia as cut off from the rest of the world, but history tells a different tale. For thousands of years, it was part of trade networks that stretched across Eurasia. Long before the famous Silk Road carried goods between China and Europe, Siberian routes connected steppe tribes, mountain peoples, and distant kingdoms. From Siberia came furs, prized sable, fox, and ermine, sought after by merchants as far away as the Middle East. These goods traveled not only through deserts and cities, but also through forests and rivers, carried on the backs of horses, reindeer, and sleds. Some historians suggest that Siberia's rivers served as natural highways. The Ob, the Yenisei, the Lena, flowing north to the Arctic, they connected distant regions and enabled trade over immense distances. Along these rivers, small settlements rose, flourished, and sometimes vanished without leaving more than fragments of pottery or tools. The very vastness of Siberia means that many such settlements remain undiscovered. Entire trading posts may still lie hidden beneath forests, waiting to reveal how far-reaching these ancient networks truly were. One of the defining traits of Siberia is its ability to erase. Wooden towns decay into soil, forests reclaim fields, rivers shift their courses, drowning settlements or leaving them stranded far from their lifelines. Unlike stone-built cities of the Mediterranean, Siberia's ancient communities often left little behind. Yet archaeology has uncovered hints. In the Minusинsk basin of southern Siberia, cultures flourished thousands of years ago, leaving behind intricate bronze artifacts and carved stones. So far, we have walked with mammoths, entered the caves of lost humans, and stood at the tombs of vanished civilizations. But the wonders of Siberia are not confined to the past. They are alive in the land itself, in lakes deeper than oceans, in cliffs that rise like fortresses, in lights that shimmer across the sky, and in sounds that defy explanation. Siberia is not just a land of history. It is a land of marvels, where nature seems to test the boundaries of what is possible. Some of these wonders can be measured by science. Others linger as mysteries, inviting questions we cannot yet answer. Together, they form a landscape as extraordinary as it is enigmatic. At the heart of Siberia lies one of Earth's most astonishing natural treasures, Lake Baikal. Known to locals as the Sacred Sea, it is the oldest and deepest freshwater lake in the world. Stretching more than 630 kilometers in length, it holds nearly 1/5 of all the fresh water on the planet, more than all the Great Lakes of North America combined. Baikal plunges to depths of 1,642 meters. Its waters are so clear that in some places, visibility extends more than 40 meters down. On its frozen surface in winter, travelers can see cracks that run like blue lightning beneath the ice, and bubbles suspended as though frozen in time. In summer, the lake transforms into a mirror of mountains and sky. But Baikal is more than a lake. It is an entire ecosystem found nowhere else on Earth. Scientists have identified more than 3,000 species of plants and animals within its waters, 2/3 of them unique to Baikal. Among them is the Nerpa, the world's only freshwater seal, whose origins remain a puzzle. How did seals, creatures of the ocean, come to inhabit a lake deep in the heart of Siberia? Some believe they swam up ancient river systems that once connected to the sea. Others suggest they may have been trapped when shifting geology sealed Baikal from larger waters. For the people who live along its shores, the Buryats, the Evenks, the Russians, Baikal is more than biology. It is sacred. Legends tell of spirits dwelling in its depths, of dragons and water gods shaping its storms. To this day, travelers leave ribbons tied to trees as offerings, honoring the unseen forces said to guard the sacred sea. Far to the north, where few travelers venture, rises another of Siberia's marvels, the Pudorana Plateau, remote and nearly inaccessible. This volcanic landscape spreads across the Taimyr Peninsula like a fortress of stone. Here, basalt cliffs tower over deep valleys cut by countless waterfalls. Some plunge more than 100 meters, their mist catching the northern light. The plateau is so isolated that entire ecosystems thrive undisturbed. Herds of wild reindeer migrate across its slopes in the largest land migration on Earth. Lakes stretch in chains across the basalt, linked by rivers that carve dramatic canyons. In summer, carpets of wildflowers bloom, turning the cliffs into fields of color. In winter, the land lies silent under snow, broken only by the movement of wolves and wolverines. Few humans have ever set foot in the Pudorana Plateau. Its remoteness makes it difficult to reach. No roads, no towns, only wilderness. Yet for those who do, it feels like another world, a glimpse of Earth as it might have been before cities and borders. Recognizing its significance, UNESCO declared the Pudorana Plateau a World Heritage Site in 2010, calling it one of the planet's last untouched wildernesses. Above Siberia, the sky itself becomes a marvel. In winter nights, when the air is sharp and still, the aurora borealis dances across the horizon. Curtains of green and violet shimmer, weaving like spirits in the darkness. For Indigenous peoples, the aurora has always carried meaning. The Evenks believed it was the fire of ancestral souls, guiding hunters in the forest. The Yakuts saw it as a bridge between worlds. Science explains the aurora as solar particles colliding with Earth's atmosphere, yet the experience of standing beneath it remains deeply mysterious. In the silence of Siberia, with only the snow beneath your feet, the lights seem to belong not to physics, but to myth. Siberia's natural marvels remind us that the Earth is as mysterious as it is measurable. Lake Baikal can be studied with sonar and genetics, yet it still inspires legends of dragons. The Pudorana Plateau can be mapped and cataloged, yet it still feels untouched. The aurora can be explained by physics, yet it still inspires awe. This balance between what we know and what we feel defines the Siberian landscape. Science illuminates, but mystery endures. And perhaps it is this duality that gives Siberia its unique power, a land where knowledge and wonder walk side by side. In every frozen river, in every cliff and valley, Siberia holds marvels that are not merely geological, but almost mythical. For those who live here, these wonders are not curiosities, they are part of daily life, guiding stories, shaping rituals, reminding them that the land itself is alive. And yet, nature's marvels are not always benevolent, for Siberia has also been the stage of catastrophe, disasters so immense they reshape forests, flatten landscapes, and remind humanity of its fragility. For all its silence and vastness, Siberia has not always been a passive stage of history. At times, the land itself has been shaken by forces from beyond our world. Above its forests and tundra, the sky has delivered cataclysms, sudden fiery intrusions that remind us of our smallness beneath the cosmos. These catastrophes are among Siberia's most haunting mysteries. Some are remembered in legend, others recorded in modern science, but together they reveal how fragile life can be when the heavens turn violent. Siberia is a land of silence, of forests and tundra, of mountains and frozen rivers. For outsiders, it has long seemed like a wilderness too vast, too harsh to be tamed. And yet, for thousands of years, this immense territory has been home to countless peoples. Cultures shaped by the cold, by the migration of reindeer, by the rhythm of rivers and stars. These are the true heirs of Siberia: the Yakuts, the Evenks, the Chukchi, the Nenets, and many others. Each has crafted a way of life that endures against all odds. Their traditions reveal not only survival, but a deep understanding of the land, carried through shamanic rituals, oral histories, and daily endurance. The Yakuts, or Saka people, are one of Siberia's most numerous indigenous groups, living mainly in the region of Yakutia, where winters are among the harshest on Earth. Temperatures in their homeland regularly plunge below -50 degrees Celsius, and yet the Yakuts have flourished here for centuries. Their adaptation lies in a blend of herding, hunting, and spiritual practice. Horses and cattle are central to Yakut life, uniquely bred to withstand extreme cold. Reindeer, too, play a vital role, providing transport and food. Yakut clothing, traditionally made from fur and hide, is not just practical but richly decorated, reflecting identity and artistry. The Yakut spirituality blends ancient shamanism with later influences from Russian Orthodoxy. Their cosmology sees the world as layered: the upper world of benevolent spirits, the middle world of humans, and the lower world of darker powers. Shamans act as mediators, entering trances to heal, to protect, or to seek guidance from ancestral forces. Even today, shamanic traditions remain alive, adapted yet enduring, a spiritual link to the land. Across the endless forests of central Siberia live the Evenks, a traditionally nomadic people known as reindeer herders and hunters. Their lives are bound to the Taiga, moving with the herds, setting up temporary camps in forests, and navigating rivers with ease. Evenk tents, or chums, resemble the conical structures of Native American teepees, designed for quick assembly and mobility. Reindeer serve not only as food, but as companions and transport, pulling sleds across snow. In this way, the Evenks embody the rhythm of movement, never tied too long to one place, always in harmony with the land's demands. Their folklore is filled with spirits of forest, river, and sky. Every place, every animal carries meaning. Hunting rituals are performed to honor the souls of animals taken. Fire is sacred, a link between worlds, treated with reverence in every camp. For the Evenks, survival is not conquest of nature, but cooperation with it, a balance that has carried them across centuries. At the far edge of Siberia, where the land meets the Arctic Ocean and the Bering Strait, live the Chukchi. Their world is one of tundra, ice, and sea, where winters dominate the year and storms sweep across the horizon. The Chukchi have long been divided between reindeer herders inland and marine hunters along the coast. Inland, vast herds of reindeer are guided across the tundra, providing food, clothing, and trade. Along the coast, walrus and whales are hunted, their meat and fat sustaining communities through the long winter. Like other Siberian peoples, the Chukchi preserve a rich oral tradition. Stories of spirits, giants, and transformations echo through their culture, often told during the endless nights of winter. Perhaps no people embody Siberia's endurance better than the Nenets of the Yamal Peninsula. For centuries, they have herded reindeer across the tundra in seasonal migrations that stretch hundreds of kilometers. Their lives are lived in constant movement, tents packed and unpacked, sleds loaded, herds guided across frozen rivers and windswept plains. Reindeer are at the heart of Nenets culture. They are transport, food, clothing, and shelter. The Nenets know the habits of the herds as intimately as family, guiding them through blizzards and over treacherous ice. Their skill at surviving in one of Earth's harshest climates has long impressed outsiders, a mastery of adaptation that is at once practical and spiritual. For the Nenets, migration is not simply survival, it is a sacred cycle, binding them to the land. Their rituals mark the passing of seasons, the honoring of ancestors, the respect for animals. Even as oil and gas industries expand across their lands, many Nenets still follow the reindeer, holding fast to traditions older than any empire. Across all these peoples, shamanism forms a common thread, a worldview in which spirits inhabit rivers, forests, animals, and even weather. Shamans are not priests in the ordinary sense, but mediators between the human and the spiritual realms. Through drumming, chanting, and trance, they journey to seek healing, protection, or guidance. The Siberian shaman is a figure of both reverence and fear. To outsiders, their rituals may seem mysterious, To their communities, they are essential, protectors of balance in a world where survival depends not only on skill, but on harmony with forces unseen. Today, they experience revival, blending with contemporary identity. For many indigenous peoples, shamanism remains not just religion, but a cultural backbone. A reminder that the land is alive, that Siberia itself has a spirit. What unites the Yakuts, Evenks, Chukchi, Nenets, and many others is not merely endurance, but resilience. They do not merely survive in Siberia, they flourish through adaptation, transforming harshness into rhythm, wilderness into home. Their knowledge of weather, of animal migrations, of rivers and stars is a science passed through generations. Their traditions, stories, songs, rituals are archives of wisdom, preserving identity in a land where the past and present constantly meet. Today, these peoples face new challenges: industrial expansion, climate change, and the pressures of modernization. Yet their resilience endures. The Nenets still guide reindeer across the Yamal. The Chukchi still hunt along the coast. The Evenks still move with the Taiga. The Yakuts still honor spirits in rituals that bind them to their ancestors. In a land often portrayed as empty, it is vital to remember its human face. The peoples of Siberia are not relics of the past, nor curiosities of anthropology. They are vibrant cultures, alive with stories, songs, and struggles. Their lives remind us that Siberia is not wilderness alone. It is home, to families, to traditions, to ways of being that reveal what it means to live in balance with the harshest of environments. As we leave their camps and tents, their herds and rituals, we return once more to the modern world. For Siberia today is a land where old and new collide, where ancient traditions meet mining towns, where shamanic chants echo near oil rigs, where resilience is tested not only by winter, but by industry. To see this, we must step into the Siberia of the present. For much of our journey, Siberia has appeared as a land of ancient mysteries: mammoths preserved in ice, vanished civilizations beneath the steppe, shamans whispering to spirits in the taiga. But Siberia is not only a land of the past, it is also a land of the present, alive with towns, cities, and industries that endure despite isolation and cold. Modern Siberia is a place of striking contrasts. Towering smokestacks rise above tundra where reindeer still roam. Diamond mines cut deep into earth that holds the graves of ancient peoples. In Yakutsk, school children walk to class in temperatures colder than Mars, while in Norilsk, factories run day and night above one of the richest nickel deposits on Earth. Here, ancient wilderness and industrial ambition stand side by side, each shaping the other in uneasy balance. Yakutsk, capital of the Sakha Republic, is perhaps the best symbol of Siberia's extremes. With a population of over 300,000, it is the largest city built on permafrost. Winter temperatures regularly fall below minus 40 degrees Celsius, and yet life continues. Children play outside in scarves wrapped to their eyes. Markets sell frozen fish displayed like wooden planks, hard as stone. Cars are left running through the night, their engines unable to restart once shut down. Buildings in Yakutsk stand on stilts, elevated above the shifting permafrost. If constructed directly on the ground, the heat of their foundations would melt the soil, causing structures to sink or collapse. Entire neighborhoods are engineered around the peculiar demands of frozen earth. Despite these challenges, Yakutsk is not a city of survival alone. It is a cultural hub, home to theaters, universities, and museums that preserve the history of the Sakha people. In summer, when the Lena River swells with meltwater, the city comes alive with festivals. The Yisyak celebration, rooted in Yakut traditions, honors the return of warmth with music, dance, and rituals. Life here is not just endurance, it is celebration, shaped by resilience. If Yakutsk represents the human struggle against cold, Norilsk represents the human pursuit of resources in the most extreme conditions. Located above the Arctic Circle, Norilsk is one of the most northern major cities on Earth. It sits atop vast reserves of nickel, copper, and palladium mined since Soviet times. Norilsk's history is bound to hardship. It was built in the 1930s by prisoners of the Gulag, who labored in brutal conditions to construct mines and smelters. Thousands perished in the process, their graves still lying beneath the tundra. Today, Norilsk remains an industrial powerhouse, producing a significant share of the world's nickel and palladium. But the price is high. Air pollution is severe, with sulfur dioxide emissions staining the snow black and red. Residents speak of snow that falls dirty, of rivers tinted with chemical waste. Life expectancy here is lower than in most of Russia, and respiratory illnesses are common. Yet despite these challenges, Norilsk endures. More than 170,000 people call it home. For them, the city is not only industry, but community. Schools, theaters, and even moments of beauty as the northern lights shimmer above smokestacks in the winter sky. Norilsk is only one example of Siberia's vast mineral wealth. Across the region, deposits of oil, gas, gold, coal, and diamonds fuel both local economies and global markets. The Yamal Peninsula is a hub of natural gas extraction, its pipelines carrying energy thousands of kilometers to Europe and beyond. In Yakutia, open-pit diamond mines gape like enormous craters in the earth, producing nearly a quarter of the world's diamonds. For Russia, Siberia is not just land, it is resource, a cornerstone of economic power. For local communities, the industries bring both opportunity and disruption. Jobs are created, but ecosystems are scarred. Traditional ways of life, reindeer herding, fishing, hunting, are threatened by pollution and habitat loss. The tension between wealth and wilderness is constant. Siberia offers riches, but at the risk of destroying the very land that sustains them. Beyond the industrial hubs, life in Siberia is defined by isolation. Towns are separated by hundreds of kilometers, connected only by rivers, air travel, or seasonal ice roads. In winter, frozen rivers become highways, allowing trucks to deliver supplies across landscapes otherwise unreachable. In summer, when the ice melts, boats and aircraft replace them. For many communities, this isolation shapes daily rhythm. Supplies are stocked for months at a time. Families gather close during the endless winter nights, passing stories that stretch back generations. In remote villages, traditions endure precisely because modern influence arrives slowly. Yet, isolation also creates resilience. To live in Siberia is to be resourceful, to fix engines with limited tools, to hunt and fish when supplies run low, to share warmth and shelter when storms arrive. In this way, modern Siberians echo the endurance of their ancestors. Today, one of the greatest challenges facing Siberia is not only cold, but change. As global temperatures rise, Siberia warms faster than much of the planet. Permafrost, once stable, begins to thaw. Roads buckle, houses sink, and ancient remains emerge from the ground. New diseases may reawaken, frozen in soil for centuries. At the same time, warming opens opportunities. Melting ice makes new regions accessible for mining and transport. The northern sea route along Russia's Arctic coast is increasingly navigable, offering a shorter path between Europe and Asia. For industry, this is progress. For indigenous peoples, it is disruption. The land they depend upon shifts beneath them, and with it, their traditions. Despite all of this, the cold, the isolation, the pollution, the change, Siberia endures. Its cities survive where no others could. Its people adapt to challenges that would overwhelm elsewhere. Its traditions persist beside smokestacks and pipelines, stubbornly alive in song, ritual, and memory. Modern Siberia is not simply a land of hardship. It is a land of contrasts. Children walking to school in -50, miners working beneath northern lights, herders guiding reindeer past oil rigs, families gathering for shamanic festivals beside industrial towns. It is a place where old and new exist side by side, not in harmony, but in coexistence, fragile and resilient at once. As we leave modern Siberia, we return to the deeper theme of our journey. This land is not just history or industry, wilderness or city. It is all of these at once, a mirror of endurance, a frontier of knowledge, a reminder that humanity and nature are forever intertwined. And so we come to our final chapter, for if Siberia holds graveyards of mammoths, vanished civilizations, and modern minds, it also holds a greater truth, that in its ice and forests, in its silence and storms, lies a reflection of Earth itself. And as we reach the end of our journey, we must ask, what does Siberia tell us about ourselves, about our planet, and about the mysteries that endure? As we leave this land, one truth remains. Siberia cannot be fully known. Its forests are too vast, its permafrost too deep, its mysteries too enduring. Every discovery here leads to another question. Every answer opens another path. It is a land that resists finality, that insists on wonder. Perhaps that is why Siberia continues to fascinate. Not because it yields its secrets easily, but because it keeps them. Not because it answers, but because it asks. This is Robert Beckham, and you are watching Earth Wonders. And before we close, I want to speak to you directly. If you've made it this far into the journey, thank you. It means a lot. If you enjoyed this exploration, please take a moment to support the channel. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. It might seem small, but it truly helps. YouTube notices when people engage, and that gives us a chance to reach more curious minds across the world. We're still at the beginning of this adventure together, and your support is what keeps it alive. There are so many more journeys ahead, from hidden deserts to lost oceans, from forgotten ruins to natural wonders most have never seen. So join me, share this with others, and let's see just how far Earth Wonders can go.